Economic suicide in the West, folks. It's really happening and happening at a scary pace. Now, the United Kingdom is in a self-destruction mode, like the likes I really honestly have never seen. Now, sort of the same way that Germany squandered its inherent manufacturing edge that it had over the entire world, the UK is giving away its crown jewel as a financial juggernaut. A string of investment bankers have fled to Milan. The city, which is London's financial center, was the world's biggest international and foreign exchange market. Now, they've slipped to 23 in IPO fundraising in the world, 23 behind Oman and Mexico. Think about this. In 2006, London raised $51 billion. So far this year, $248 million. UK stocks, they're changing hands right now at a 35% discount to the developed world. This is where the true problem really, though, comes in terms of hurting capitalism. Their financial conduct authority there suggests that your board has to have at least 40% female representation. Also, ESG, which we've kind of nipped in the bud here, is still going on strong there as well. I want to bring in a host of Kudlow, Larry Kudlow. And Larry, you know, I think it's the only thing crazier about what's happening in London at this moment is that we're on the cusp of it happening in New York.
I was going to say, this is Mandami writ global. Okay, that's what you got. You know, it's funny, you forget the Conservative Party in Britain has self-destructed. They rejected Liz Truss, who was a supply-sider. They rejected her. Then they had a bunch of nameless wusses. They lost. But you also forget Jeremy Corbyn. Remember him? Sure. He was the anti-Semitic, anti-Israel, basically anti-British socialist who ran the Labour Party for a while and was very nearly elected prime minister, very nearly elected. And now they have Keir Starmer, who is basically, I don't think he's anti-Semitic necessarily. He's not pro-Israel, but he's a socialist nonetheless, sure. And he's running that. So capital flight, as you've described, to Milan, and I didn't know about Milan, but it's a lovely place.
Here's a good headline for you.
Capital flight is part of the story.
Yeah, is Milan becoming Europe's new financial hub? The well-heeled are increasingly fleeing Europe's traditional financial hubs for Italy's, and such as Milan. It's not hard to see why. This is from last year. So this has been happening at such a rapid pace. And it's not just that. There was an article just here recently about a woman who had two jobs. Right? She worked 17 hours at two jobs for 16 years. And one of her employers found out the government of one of the governments, and they fired her. And I mean, so, we talk in America about hustling. We love it. We're proud. Like, we hustle. We have 2 gigs. I mean, you still have about 3.
I still have 2 gigs. Right? That's what I still work 6 days a week.
That's what I'm saying.
At my age.
I mean, but we're proud of that.
I am proud of it.
They fired her for that. So it's a mindset.
What does that tell you?
Yeah.
What does that tell you exactly? Look, the other thing is, Britain, under both parties, has adopted this massive climate change, which backfired enormously, really throughout the whole continent, for that matter. Germany leading the way, but Britain. The irony is there's so much oil in the North Sea, they could be using that, and electricity costs would be much lower. The second point is open borders, immigration.
Right.
Even though they had Brexit, the fact is, under both parties, they have basically open borders and massive immigration and a revolt going on. The Reform Party, my friend Nigel Farage, is trying to right that ship, and actually some conservatives, Tories, are moving over to his party. But these are killers. You mentioned ESG. So all capital flight occur, right? Capital goes where it's treated the best. Right. All right, that's what you're really saying. Right. And if it's true in Milan, fine. You know what? It ought to be true here. Let's make it true here. And let's use this as an example. Say this kid Mandami wins, a socialist, right? Anti-Semitic, Israel-hating socialist. Fantastic story, right? Not. Anyway, Dallas is opening up a stock exchange. Miami has already opened up a stock exchange. The story in the paper, J.P. Morgan has more employees in Texas than it does in New York City. So New York City, is a long slide, okay, it's been several decades since the Giuliani Bloomberg days. So it's becoming more and more socialist-like.
Right.
Mandami will make it worse, okay? Capital will leave if it's not being treated well, and the capitalists will leave also.
Right.
Look, if you want a world of Fidel Castros, fine. But it won't work. We know it won't work. We know this from history. It wasn't so long ago, old guys like me remember Reagan battling the Soviet empire, okay? It just imploded because it does not work.
All right. Let me ask you real quick before they start giving me the rap stuff. You know about that. This shutdown as a chance to make government smaller.
Yes,
a lot
indeed.
of people are really saying, hey, Roosevelt's got the right attitude here.
He does.
You feel good that maybe something
This
good
is
could
an
come out of this?
opportunity.
Yeah.
You know what? Nobody loves shutdowns, okay? But you have an opportunity. The door is open. Go through it. Russ Vought, whom I know very well, he's got plans. How far Mr. Trump will let him go remains to be seen. But he has plans, and I think they could basically cut the federal workforce by a third. Okay?
Wow.
So it's already 300,000 less because of buyouts and good incentives and severance pay. He could take another 400,000 out of that. This is a situation where instead of furloughs, you'll get firings. Okay, furloughs, you come back, you had a nice paid vacation. Firings is a different matter. By the way, I think it would help the whole economy. That whole Washington, Baltimore area would be greatly benefited if those federal workers entered the private sector instead of the government sector. But we should get announcements on programs, policies, and employment, RIFs and so forth. I would say we might hear some tonight because the CR is not going to pass. The Democrats want to spend $1 trillion on more health care and more Obamacare, okay? The Republicans cannot let them do that. So the Senate will be stymied. The House got through a clean resolution, but unfortunately it's not winning the votes. And I expect announcements from President Trump and Russell Vought very soon. I think, if not tonight, over the weekend. Look, it's an opportunity. This shapes government. This will downsize government. I regard these things as long-term pluses. And the rest of it, you see the stock market. You're the expert. Stock market says to me, it doesn't care. In fact, the shutdown could lead to good things, but it loves tax cuts for businesses and individuals. There's a capital spending boom going on. Yeah. All these indexes are hitting record highs.
Expensing these investments, speeding them up. You know,
factories. Yeah. Trump loves factories. They're going to build factories. Factories hire people. That gives them higher wages. The affordability crisis is giving way to an affordability boom, if you ask me. I look at the stock market. Stock market says to me there's very good things in the future. Shutdown or no shutdown.
Larry.
Thank you, Charles.
Always appreciate it.
This
Thank
is
you
better
so much.
than Britain. This is a better story than Britain.
It is,
the USA.
but we need to have the cautionary story out there too,
Yes,
because
indeed.
a lot of Americans are drawn to that kind of stuff.
Anyway, Milan is a lovely place.
I love Milan.
High couture in Milan.
You ever La Scala? All right.